Good morning. We'd like to welcome you to the Be More News Morning Show. My name's Donnie Glover with the one and only Marcia Jews. Good morning, Marcia.
Good morning. How's everybody?
We're
I'm
doing
excited.
well. Marcia, we have some breaking news to announce. Something's
Breaking
happening on Monday. This is
Monday,
this is the last of something.
the last of something. Monday, the last of this. Be more news?
Well,
Well,
the name of the show.
the name of the show's changing.
The name of the show is changing.
What's
Is
it
this
changing to?
you tell them? Ladies first.
No. I want you to tell them because you created it.
BlackUSA.news. But she was right there with me.
And I like the name. And I think it's wonderful. What do you think, Ron Busby?
I like the idea, the concept. I think what you guys are doing is great. And as much as I'm a Marylander currently, I think the news is national. And I think people in our communities are looking for information. So I'm excited that you guys are broadening your reach as well as your opinions. And so I think people around the country would be equally as excited as I am about sharing the new news about where you guys are headed. So congratulations and kudos to you, Donnie, for your effort. I know you've been doing this for quite a while, man. So congratulations again.
So
Johnny,
Marsha, I gotta tell you this part about Mr. Ron Busby.
Uh-oh.
Now he didn't know me from a can of paint. We were introduced by Michael Graham, and I can only imagine what he thought when he first met me. But then one day, Marsha, I literally bumped into him at the White House. And this was when Obama first came in. And then, thanks to Richard Muhammad, the National Newspaper Publishers Association, I literally bumped into him in Portland, Oregon.
What?
Right, that's right.
Literally.
That's right. That's right.
And he's been a constant source of inspiration. I love what he does. I don't know if I love what I do, but I've watched it like, Donnie, would you ever want to run 200 black chambers?
Donnie, if I ever decide to do something else, man, you'd be one of the first people that I tap to take on this role. But man, continue to do what you do, man, and we'll continue to support you in all your efforts. And glad to have met you then. Forgot about that Portland experience, man.
That's great.
Back in the NNPA days, and I was on their board of directors. Had the opportunity to really participate in sharing the news across the country for African Americans. And so really am excited to see now you taking that step from news to social media to now international news. So again, continue to do the great work that you're doing, man. And we were just excited to participate this morning and share some information that's happening with our organization as well as the rest of Black-owned businesses.
Well, and we want to hear more because you have a big story that you need to be sharing with us, right? Just who you are and what you guys are doing. That's the big story, right? That's the big story that we have to deal with. But I have to take a break real quick so we can make a word for our sponsor that you might want to get involved in. And this is BEA, as you can see, the Black Engineer of the Year Awards Conference, 35 years as the most anticipated diversity event of the year. Talent-rich environment for recruitment, networking, and professional development. In attendance are corporate leaders, college representatives, thousands of professionals and students from across the country, representing the upper echelon of the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics disciplines and careers. The fields of expertise represented at the conference are as diverse as the men, women, and children who attend. And for highlights that is complimentary for the upcoming conference, February the 11th through the 13th, and it's all online at beya.org, beya.org, the HBCU Village, K through 12 Village, the Interview Village, and HBCU Reunion. To learn more, please go to www.beya.org. Thank you. And so, Mr. Busby, tell us about your organization. And you've done a lot of wonderful things in your career, first of all. And now you've been leading this organization for how long?
It'll be 12 years in March.
That long.
Yeah,
Has
we
it been?
started March of 2009, right after the election of then and our current President Barack Obama.
That is so, I didn't realize it had been that long. 12
Yeah,
years.
12 years.
So talk to us about your organization and why it's so important and actually vital today.
That's a great start. So the U.S. Black Chamber was founded in 2009. I was a local chamber president in Phoenix, Arizona. I had run a business, had been involved in various organizations from fraternity Kappa Alpha Psi to leadership role with the 100 Black Men. So felt that we had good organizations around the country, but the voice of Black business was one that was lacking at the time. We had the opportunity to meet then Senator Barack Obama while he was still campaigning us there in Arizona. As you remember, he was running against the time John McCain, who was an Arizonan, who I had the opportunity to work closely with. And so it was kind of a conflict of interest, being a local elected, involved in politics there in Phoenix, but understanding the important role that then President Obama would lead us as a people. And so we campaigned with him, and he told us that he wouldn't forget. And he did get elected. And as Donnie stated, we had the opportunity to work closely with his administration then. We were founded on 5 key pillars, or what we call principles. The first one being policy or advocacy. And that's the importance of us being in Washington, D.C., and have been very closely involved in many of the legislative issues and concerns as Black business owners to bring forth. Our second one is really about access to capital. And when you ask any small business owner what their number one concern is, they will say access to capital. But if you ask a Black business owner, they will say their number 1, number 2, and number 3 concerns is access to capital. And so for us, it was how can we eliminate these concerns and provide capital for our businesses to grow. And so I have a great deal, hopefully this morning, to talk about some of the issues and some of the opportunities that we created. Our third one is contracting, and we really look at that from 3 different vantage points. Where is the federal government spending its dollars, and how can we mandate that we get our share of that opportunity? Many of our businesses do business with the government, and the government is the largest procurer of products and services in this country. If you really look at it, the richest man in the world right now is Elon Musk. And honestly, he got there through federal government contracts from the United States. The NASA program was a federal contract that he was awarded. And so many of us don't have that opportunity to gain those types of opportunities. One of the programs that I was in as a business owner was the 8A, the number 8, the letter A, 8A program, which was created by a Republican administration that was a set-aside program for then primarily Black and Native American firms. It has really been watered down over the years, but the idea was that it would allow minority-owned businesses to do business with the federal government, non-competitive, except for those firms that were in the 8A program. The idea was to create wealth in minority communities. If you look at Black enterprise, and you always look at the top 100 firms, many of them get there, they stay there for 4 or 5, maybe even 9 years, and then they disappear because many of them have had the opportunity to do business with the federal government through these types of programs. But at the end of 9 years, you graduate and you have to go on your own. We have been saying for the last 4 to 8 years that we really needed this to be expanded. You cannot create generational wealth in a 9-year period of time. So we were successful in 2020 to increase that from a 9-year window to now a 10-year window. And we will continue to fight to get that even larger. But to us, it makes no sense that if I'm a contractor, I get a contract from the federal government January 1st, and I don't get paid until June 15th. As a minority business, we are now being forced to go and apply for loans, high interest rate loans, just to carry the float of the federal government. Under the Obama administration, during the last recession, there was a program called the Prompt Pay Program, which allowed you to invoice the federal government and get paid within 15 days.
Okay.
So now you get a contract January 1st, you begin your work, you invoice January 15th, you're getting paid by February 1st. That allows you to carry your own float and make your own expenses. We're also interested in where is corporate America spending its money. And we have created an incentive and a mandate that our corporate partners spend 15% of their contract opportunities with Black firms. Many corporations are saying, yes, Ron, we would do more business with Black firms. Two challenges. One, we can't find them. Two, they don't have the size and the scale. So the U.S. Black Chamber created a platform called Buy Black, BYBLACK.US, buyblack.us, which allows Black firms now to be certified as Black-owned businesses. Critical. Those of us that live here in the DMV understand that right now across the country, Black power is trending. Black dollars are trending. Black spend is trending. But many of the businesses that we now see popping up as Black-owned really aren't Black-owned.
Right.
And they're taking advantage of our suffering, of our disadvantage, and putting Black-owned labels on it to now drive business to their enterprises when in fact they're not Black-owned, they're white-owned. And so the Buy Black platform allows us to be found, allows us to be certified as Black-owned businesses free of charge. And thirdly, and most importantly, it allows us now to create those large-size businesses. We're looking at doing joint ventures, partnerships, mergers, and where it makes sense, even acquisitions. And then the third leg of contracting is really about where are Black people spending that $1 trillion that we talk about all the time. Usually we hear, hey, Black people have $1 trillion of spend power, but that's not us talking about that. That's usually corporate America saying that the Black consumer has $1 trillion. How do we market to them to make sure that we get that share? We've got to change that conversation to say, we have $1 trillion. How do we hold on to that? How do we keep that $1 trillion in our community to give us sustainability? The next one is entrepreneurial training. When we did our survey in December of our 360,000 businesses, the one thing that they all came back and said, 68% of them said they did not seek any expertise, any expert advice in 2020. During the time where it was extremely important for us to have the information on payroll protection plans and EIDL loans and other programs, we did not have the relationships with banks, other financial institutions, so we suffered. Not because we were, as many people have said, we weren't financially astute. That is a myth. Black people have more degrees, more advanced education than any other business community in America, but we don't have the relationships, and many of us don't seek the advice that we need to make sure that we get through difficult times. And so the U.S. Black Chamber literally twice a week has online free entrepreneurial training platforms that will allow us to get the acumen, skills, and relationships that we need to grow and sustain. And then the last one is about development, chamber development. And Donnie has been to many of our national conferences as well as our chamber development conferences. And for us, we say we're only as strong as our weakest link. So we ensure that our businesses, our chambers across the country have the resources that they need to be successful as well. We represent 147 Black chambers located in 42 states, Canada, and 6 countries in Africa.
That's huge. That's a big job, right? With all of these numbers, it's wonderful. And so how do we have all this intellectual property? We have all this capacity, but we're talking about we can't get money in certain areas, right? Where there are national banks, national lending institutions, international banks, international lending institutions. Why is it so difficult?
Well, I don't want to speak for the banks, but I can tell you as a business owner and someone that has looked at this issue, I mean, we all know systemic racism exists. I could be a business owner with an excellent business plan. I could own my home. I could have a white neighbor. He could be renting his home. I could have a college degree. He could have a high school degree. We would go into the same bank with the same business plan, asking for the same $100,000. This is what we have found through a research project that we did with Rutgers University. One, I'm never going to be called Mr. Busby. It's always going to be Ron. Secondly, I never get the opportunity to speak with a real decision maker, someone that can actually tell me yes. I'm usually going to be interviewing with someone that can tell me no or tell me maybe and come back. Third, even after we finish the transaction, never will they say thank you. So they're not appreciative of our business. And then the fourth and most important thing for Black people, when we go in asking for $100,000, my white peer is going to get the $100,000. I'm going to get $40,000. And as a spiritual people, we say, thank you, Jesus. I'm going to take this $40,000 and I'm going to pray on it and I'm going to make the best of it. And we know that 95% of businesses fail within the first year, especially in our community. And it has very little to do with our business acumen, how hard we work, or how smart we are. It is, I don't have enough money in the beginning to give me the sustainability for any type of issue, for any type of growth, or any type of misstep. And so what will typically happen, I go out of business. My white peer then goes back to the same bank and says, hey, I need some additional money because there's an additional opportunity out here for me. The bank now knows about my opportunity and they get the funding and they leave. I think it has a lot to do with relationships, a lot to do with us having our documentation prepared. And let me say that during these last now 9 months, 9 to 12 months, there was the payroll protection plan. That was the largest stimulus package that this country has ever seen. Now, let me put a comma there. And I know Donnie will get excited because as Black people, we've been talking about reparations for hundreds of years. Typically, we as a community have said, well, America doesn't want to go down that path because they don't know what that sticker price might be, where they're going to get the funding from, and what that's going to mean for the other minority communities in this country. And so we've never really pressed that issue. But yet within the first week and a half of a pandemic, we saw America write a check for $349 billion. And within 24 hours, from Friday afternoon to Saturday afternoon, 250 billion of that was awarded to 50 white publicly traded firms that had never to answer, did you lose revenue? Were you required to lay off people? Are you going to be negatively impacted by the virus? It was a check written because of relationships. So for us, it is extremely important that we create the relationships that we need now to be able to go forward. Many of us are saying, okay, well, now we should start. We fought hard to make sure that those funds went to banks that look like us, Black banks, CDFIs, banks in the community. Those banks didn't get the funding until late into the game. You've seen the second tranche or now this new stimulus package, and they're saying, well, go to CDFIs because they have the funds. Understand that most Black businesses still bank at Bank of America or Wells Fargo or TD Bank. So we don't want to let them off the hook to say, okay, now you have to go establish a new relationship with a small community bank that you may not have in your community, that you may not have relationships with. And during a time where you can't go into a bank, can't go establish a new relationship, they're putting that burden on a business owner as opposed to putting that burden on the financial institutions. We're holding both institutions accountable, and we want to see transparency. So for us, we have seen corporate America really step into the gap to make up the difference.
How so?
Corporate America committed $66 billion in financial investments. The challenge that Donnie and the rest of us face is Where is those dollars? Where's the transparency? Where is the accountability? We know that between 1950 and 2020, we've seen no decrease in the wealth gap between white families and black families. No difference between the wealth gap between a black business and a white business. The average black business in 2020 was doing less than $75,000 a year in annualized revenue. And during the pandemic, that number dropped to closer to $45,000 in annualized revenue.
It's outrageous. So I know that you are focused, laser focused on changing, doing a paradigm shift with this, right? What is that strategy to get these larger institutions in Baltimore and Washington? We've got PNC, we've got the Bank of America, we have all these banks that are all over the country. There is somebody on Wall Street who sits at the top of all these branches, right? Who are the top 10 corporations that we need, banking institutions that we need as a community to make certain that our businesses are undergirded? What do Black people need to do to offset this crisis?
Great question. I think the first thing that we can do is to ensure that we are having the conversation in which you said, and that's Black. Mm-hmm. What we find now is most of the solutions and the programs that are being created by both the federal government as well as the private sector all revolve around minority programs. Mm-hmm. We're not minorities. I live in Bowie, Maryland. I'm the majority. You right. live in Baltimore. You're the majority. I woke up this morning, I was Black. When I go to bed tonight, I'm going to be Black. I don't know the word minority. Minority is someone that is the smaller representative of who we are. We are not minorities, we are Black businesses. And when programs that are created called minority, the people that win don't look like us. They're white women. Mm-hmm. And so the first thing we have to do is be intentional. We've got to make sure that when we go in talking to people that are creating solutions, that we say, especially during this period of time where we face the trifecta, we died at numerous rates. 46,000 right. Black people died in 2020 unnecessarily due to a virus that we were told we weren't susceptible to. We know we were. We heard the words essential workers, which is basically slavery. I didn't have the option of saying, no, I don't want to go into work. I'll work from home. I don't want to hear the conversations about Black and brown. This is a Black conversation. This isn't a multicultural issue. This is a Black issue. Secondly, we didn't get the payroll protection plan. We didn't get the EIDL loan. We didn't get the stimulus package. So we lost in the second round, the second leg of that. And then the third leg, the world saw George Floyd get murdered on TV by a police officer that walked away free.
Still,
it was the most successful protest that the country has ever seen. It was peaceful. We didn't murder anyone. It was our time to say Black Lives Matter when the rest of the world saw that it didn't happen. And so for us, we've got to take this moment in time and say, this is on us. We got their attention. Now, what are we going to do? So we've got to be prepared when we go in, because we do have federal government, we do have an administration that is saying, okay, what can we do to make things right? I guarantee you there's going to be infrastructure bills conversation. Right. Every time there's a new administration that comes into play, they're always talking about infrastructure. We know the 40 counties where COVID hit the worst. Those are counties in which Black communities thrive in. And so we're telling federal government, you have to start there. That's where the infrastructure needs to happen first. Secondly, when those infrastructure bills come out, they need to be awarded to Black contractors in those communities. And third piece of that, that's where we come into play. That's where you come into play. We hold those businesses accountable to hire from with our community. If you ask Black businesses what they really, really need right now, They will tell you customers. Come in and buy from us. Come in and contract from us. Come in and merge and do partnerships and subcontracts with us. We are going to be in front of the line when the opportunities come about. And I just need to make sure that your businesses and communities are prepared as well. There's a lot that can be done. I do believe, though, that many of the financial institutions understand there's profitability in the Black business community. For so long, it wasn't necessarily about profit and losses as much as it was about racism.
Right.
Now, I think many corporations are saying, if we don't do business with Black communities and Black business owners, they suffer. We have the ability now to be able to say, let's control our dollars and do business with one another. And corporate America is starting to recognize that. And
So I
saying,
just want to throw in a word. I want to throw in a word. So what should we do? We should boycott one of these businesses that doesn't give out, that has a history and maintains that history and turns our businesses away. What are we supposed to do? What's the action plan for those of us who support Black businesses and those of us who are Black businesses?
I'm not about boycotting anybody. I came up in Oakland. I'm about supporting individuals that have earned my dollars, as opposed to saying, I'm not going to spend there. I'm more about, I am going to spend there. And when we decide collectively where we're going to spend our money, we don't have to worry about boycotting. We just got to make sure that we are promoting our own. Again, buy Black. We can't spend our way out of this. We've got to be able to support one another through this. I can stop spending money with Shell Oil. Okay. But if I had an option of a Black-owned gas station, I'm going to make sure that that Black owner is successful, and then we can promote him or her to do right by our communities.
But you've got to get that. Just think about it. If we have a gas station, you want that Black person to be able to go to a Black and open up their own Black filling station. But you have to have all of the bond money and all the other kind of money to be able to purchase one of those institutions. How do we do that in this environment where we have been set apart? What are the steps that we need to take as business people and as community and as consumers to be able to make certain that we have that funding to go in and buy a filling station, that we can go in and buy a 200,000 square foot grocery store, that we have that infrastructure? It's all about the dollar. And what are you going to do about the new Biden president and how he's going to be effective?
Well, Marsha, that's like 3 questions.
That's Chris.
But Ron Busby knows me. He knows me. He's cool because he's so smart. He can handle all that and then some.
Well, I will say that is a multifaceted question. I'll try to address the last part first, which is, what are we going to do with the Biden administration? We were very involved in the campaign early on. And I think our commitment to President Biden was because of his relationship with President Obama. We saw him operate under the first Black president. And we also understand that in these division times and these difficult times, you're going to need someone that has been there, that has relationships, not just in America, but across the world, and understands the federal government and how to have it impacted positively coming out of the gate. I will say this, I had the opportunity to visit and to see his 100-day plan. I was blown away. Literally, I thought this man has got to have been on this job for at least 2 years. It is that detailed. Who's going to be responsible for the role? What's the budget for the role? What's the start date? What's the metrics? It is very well thought out. There's accountability for everyone. And most importantly, there's transparency. That's what you need from a federal government. And that's what we were asking for up front, so that when you know where the opportunities are, then it is on us to prepare ourselves to participate in those opportunities. What we saw during the last administration was a lot of moving the shelves around, the 3-card Molly, as we saw in Baltimore. And we were always looking for the black card with the red dot and could never find it. In this administration, I truly believe we are at the table. You've seen black leadership already appointed, and most importantly, he is looking for our opportunity. Now, we have 5 key things that we are looking for from this administration. The first one you heard me talk a little bit about, which is the federal government, the 8A program. One of the things that we are definitely concerned about is the prompt pay program, which I discussed, that can be implemented immediately. I'm sorry. COVID-19, we want that to be implemented immediately, and we want to see black businesses and communities involved in all phases. We want to see that there is the MBDA program, Minority Business Development Program Agency. Currently, it has to come up every year to be voted on.
Oh,
we want
really?
that to be codified and have a budget that they can actually have impact. It is the only agency that even has the word minority in it. Let me put a comma right there. During this first piece of legislation on the stimulus package, there were 717, 18 pages of legislation. In those 700 pages, you never read the words black or African American. You only read the words minority, and that was dealing with the Minority Business Development Agency. When we came to the table, Donnie, I want to share something with you. When Rodney King got beat down in Southern California, I was living in Oakland, and NNPA was there. And after the riots, the federal government came in to Danny Bakewell and said, hey, we're now trying to make sure that we support the issues that are going on in Southern California. So Danny, can you give us the black businesses that were impacted, how much they lost, how many employees that were damaged, what we need?
Great.
Black businesses did not have our documentation prepared. The Asian community, the Vietnam community had their information there. And when it was time to write checks, they were in front of the line. And so right now you go to Southern California, you'll see many of the old established black-owned businesses are now owned by Asians. The reason I say that is
That's
because
huge.
in 2020, when the virus hit and we were preparing a stimulus package, it was the Asian community that was in front of the line. Your previous president called it the China flu and the China virus, and they felt like they were being discriminated against. The conversations were, people come into our business and they find out that it's Asian owned and they walk out. People see us walking down the side of the street and they cross the other side of the street. They see us and they spit on us. So we should get paid first. And I said, you must be losing your mind. I understand your challenges, but black people have been facing those challenges for hundreds of years. No one is going to get in front of us on this issue. And because of that, it was a race neutral concern. That was on the front end. On the back end, it was black businesses and black communities that have faced the biggest challenges. And so now on this next round, we're saying it is black communities, it is black businesses that need to make sure that they are in the front of the line. And you have an administration that has truly heard that. In his American Rescue Plan, he is addressing racial equity, and he is actually asking for the funding necessary to address systemic racism in this country. And I forget the first part of the question. Oh, I think it has something to do with funding. So you guys lived here in DC area, and you are some of the best witnesses of what we have seen when businesses get equity. Two of the examples are BET, Bob Johnson, and TV1, Kathy Hughes. They didn't get grants.
Right.
They didn't get loans. They got investments. They got equity. Black businesses are saying now we need investments. We need equity. And so we're asking this administration to bring back the MESBIC programs. The MESBIC programs were minority firms that were required to invest in minority firms. The challenges were it worked extremely well early on. The Republicans created the program. It worked well. And when the Republicans came back, they wanted to balance the books on top, on the top of those minority programs. And so they did away with them. We are asking this administration to re-implement those so that we can now say, hey, Donnie, if you're an investment company and you raise $50 million, the federal government will match your $50 million so that you can now go and invest in Marsha's next radio station, her next investment, her next business opportunity, and make a long-term investment versus saying, hey, I need to start getting paid back and see a return on my investment within the 12 months or 24 months or what the regular standards are. We are asking for, and it looks like there's some great deal of opportunities for that to happen. So
excuse me, right there. What department does that project come out of? Treasury. Okay.
So here's my question for you, Mr. Busby, and thank you for that overview. You seem a tad more radical than the last time I hung out with you.
It's been 12 years now.
He said, I got to see it before I die, right? For real.
I had to wonder if you had a Malcolm X pin on there, but
yeah.
But here's my question. We understand Biden is coming in. Who was more helpful to our community? Was it the Obama administration? Was it Trump?
That's a good question.
It's a great question. Ooh. I think it was a little of both. And I also want to say, as much as it might have been Obama, I think at the end of the day, it was just Black people's frustration. It was folk like the people in Georgia. It was folk like the people in Michigan who decided enough is enough and wanted to see a change. I'm not going to say that if there had been another nominee from the Democratic Party that Trump wouldn't have won. We don't know what would have happened, but I do know this: a combination of the Stacey Abrams, a combination of the first Black female vice president, combination of folk like you and I getting out and working the streets. I think we all had a great deal of support and work in getting him elected. So I don't want to put that.
No, I get that, but I mean, in your capacity as president and CEO of the U.S. Black Chambers, what were we able to get from Obama for Black businesses compared to what we were able to get from Trump?
Well, let's be honest. I believe that, first off, when people hear the words Democrat, they think Black. And when they hear the word Republican, they think business. I'm a Black business owner. I'm an independent who understands that I am Black first, but I am also all about business. And so we have to weave a very thin line of what and how we get legislation passed, bills passed, and we get things done for our communities. And so we pushed Obama, and many of the issues that we brought to Obama, the Republicans were not even willing to have a conversation on those. I think during those 8 years where he was president, the racism was covert. A lot of deals that made good sense for Black communities weren't even addressed because they could not get past the color of his skin. I think where we may have an opportunity in this administration is that Biden is still a white man respected by other white men who understands the importance of Black men and Black issues. And he has a Black vice president who's never going to let him forget that.
Okay, so you still haven't gotten to the Trump where we able to get anything. And the reason I ask is, if you mention we're Black, we're Democrats, generally speaking. But if you mention anything about Republicans, it's taboo. When those of us in business understand, hey, if the Republicans understand business, then I need to be over there. But the challenge was Trump had such vitriol,
I don't think Trump was a Republican.
That's right, but he was in charge under that banner.
Yeah, but that's like me saying, I have an American flag, but yet I live in Jamaica, or I first I'm first, from Africa. I always say I'm a Black person living in America that happens to vote in this election for a Democrat. But most importantly, I go home every night to my family and friends, and our concerns are most prevalent. I think when Trump went home, I don't think he called himself a Democrat or a Republican. He switched back and forth several times prior to his presidency. And I think it was more about his issues than the Republican issues or even the business of the Republican Party.
That's right. Well, they created the Lincoln Project with all of these Republicans who had decency, character, and integrity, and they weren't about all the madness when you saw people trying to do a coup d'état over the Capitol. So those are two different kinds of parties that we had to deal with for so long with him in that position. And the sum total of his presidency happened on Capitol Hill, which speaks for itself. The movement now, I think, and we're just grateful that we have Biden and Kamala. It's what are the things, or the top 10 things that we need to do that we can check off, have somebody monitor it, and make certain that we take advantage of these 4 years.
Okay,
I don't know what's going to happen.
I just want to be clear, Ron. With Obama, he was stalled by the politics, the Republicans who didn't want him to be successful. What about Trump?
I don't think Trump really had an agenda that.
Were you able to get to him?
I'm sorry.
Were you able to get to him?
To Trump? No. So let me just say this. We had a program with Minority Business Development Agency that was awarded to us under the Obama administration. 2 weeks after Trump got in the office, he pulled that program.
Right.
He tried to eliminate many of the programs created. Now, let me just say this, Donnie. I'm a business guy, obviously, but I'm a Black man first and foremost. And when I saw what was happening under the Trump administration, I can't put away who I am as a Black man, as a Black person, and just talk about business issues. When I walk down the street, nobody knows that I'm a business owner. No one knows that I'm the president of the U.S. Black Chamber. They know I'm a Black man, and to many white people, I'm a threat. And with that being said, I'm going to vote my conscience. I got 2 young Black sons who are now 24 and 25 living in the state of California, where it is a danger to be a Black man today. Before I can make $1, I have to make sure that I'm going to be alive and that I have a safety net for my children and for my community. And so for me, yes, business is a concern, but a safety, country, and where I feel safe is a primary concern, and it should be for all Black people.
Okay, the first part of this interview is over. Are we running you for president? I mean, let's just get straight to the chase. Okay.
I have much more power here, challenging the president and holding them, this administration and other individuals accountable, and making sure that I can say the things that you and Marsha want to make sure that are being said and heard.
So,
okay, one last question, Marsha.
Go ahead.
Who's leading the way on the inside for us right now? Is it a senator? Is it a congressman? We just got Kwesi back in there. Do we need to burn his phone up? Who is speaking our language? Business.
I think right now, one of the people that we have that truly understands us is Cedric Richmond. Good brother from Louisiana, business guy, comes from a business family, been an elected official, was there through Katrina, saw what happened under a Republican administration, is unapologetically Black, never minces his words, true to what's happening. You got folk like Cory Booker, who have created some legislation for Black and brown communities. I think you have some voices there in this administration that are going to be critical, but your voice is critical, Donnie. Marsha, your voice is critical. And I think many times elected officials get there never having run a business, never having really had to listen or address a community other than voters.
Yeah.
I think what we bring to the table is a voice of consciousness and a voice of our community. And it is upon us to make sure that they know what our concerns and issues are.
That's huge. And so when we look at all of the outlets or all of the companies, all of the Black chambers, excuse me, across the country, how do we take advantage of each one of those individually and collectively as a people? What should we be doing as a consumer and or business person?
Great question. The first thing you can do is be certified. BuyBlack.us. That's the way we find you. That's the way we support you. And that's the way we find each other. Secondly, there are 146 Black chambers. So pretty much if you're a Black business owner, there's going to be a chamber somewhere within your community. And if not, you can definitely become a member of the U.S. Black Chamber. And so regardless of where you are, you will have access to what's going on here in Washington, D.C., around the country, Africa, and Canada as well. I think right now we need to have a consistent message. So the one thing that we all need to be doing is saying, this is our primary concern. Access to capital is a primary concern. Access to COVID treatment is a primary concern. Infrastructure in our communities is a primary concern. The federal government contracting with Black businesses is a primary concern. And most importantly, the one thing that we're trying to push for, Black people got this candidate elected. So we're saying, you owe us, right? What's the return on our investment? And the biggest thing that this administration can do is a trade deal with Africa. If you open up the opportunities on the continent of Africa, it could change African Americans during that first 4 years. Right now, Africa is looking for technology, looking for relationships, looking for investments, and it should come from Black people. They are asking us to be there. We are telling this administration, this is what you can do for us. And then get out of the way and let us do it. I think we have the skill set to be able to really bring an economy to Africa that could change our lives here in America.
So have you set up? Have you set up an infrastructure that is a committee or a division of USBC that is directly related to export import for your membership to Africa?
Not yet. I'll just be honest. We are and have taken some trips abroad. We are looking for some opportunities abroad. We had to have both an administration that was open to the dialogue and the support. And so it is still early, but if you look at this administration's priorities, trade is at the top of the list. And we're saying trade with Africa needs to be the #1 agenda. And I believe that this administration has heard us. And Donnie, I see you over there. Your brain is
faces.
Well, it's as if during the Trump administration, we saw the hoods come off of a lot of people. And I've known you, 12 years or so, and I've always admired you and looked up to you. I've always tried to tighten up my tie and be more professional and put the radical. But I think we always saw you as a business person. I'm kind of wondering if you've been hiding like those Trump, or you were hiding some of those Oakland bred roots and lessons.
Well, Donnie, I'll say this. I was blessed enough to have a mother and a father. My mother was a teacher and a minister. So I say I'm very educated and I know my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ.
All right.
But I also had a father, and my father was an entrepreneur and a member of the Black Panther Party.
All right, there you go.
So I'm about my business.
That's Oakland.
But I don't take no shit. And so when you put all that under one body, I think I have grown now in my 62 years, and I'm feeling a little bit more comfortable and able to bring all of those.
I love it.
Together. Yeah.
I didn't know there was that side of you, Ron Busby. I love that, brother.
I can't say I didn't know it was there, but he had his hood on.
I did not know your daddy was. I never knew your daddy was a Panther.
Yeah.
We got a brother here, Paul. There's several former Panther members that are here in Baltimore. I bet we'll talk about that offline, but I love it. Congratulations. That would have been a wonderful place to grow up.
Oh, over at Morgan, when I was studying international affairs, I looked into Botswana, one of the largest diamond reserves in the world, looking at African-American economic cooperation. Reverend Leon Sullivan, he had 7 or so African-American summits in Harare, Zimbabwe. Our beloved Ron Brown, before he went home, he was able to open up South Africa, and I believe Ebony planted themselves there. It's not that I've never heard you speak about Africa, but you're intentionally speaking about Africa now. What's that?
Well, I think, honestly, if you look at where the largest opportunity for American businesses are, 98% of the growth is going to come outside of the boundaries of this country.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at Hispanics, they do a great deal of trade with their own Mexico and other Mexican and Latin American countries. If you look at Asians, Asians do a great deal of business in the continent of China and Asia. It is extremely important that African Americans have the opportunity to develop Africa as well as create wealth for Black Americans here. And that is the biggest and the best opportunity that we have for the next generations of Black people on both continents.
Is there an industry in particular?
No. If you look right now, and if you just look at the map of Africa, every natural resource that we need to develop our country
is right there.
Is right there.
Mm-hmm.
If you just look at, even during the Trump administration, he opened up trade with Morocco. They just signed a memorandum of understanding with the country of Morocco, and everyone that was at the table was white.
Mm-hmm.
We're saying, if you're going to open up trade with African countries, it needs to be with African Americans to ensure that we're now relying on our own people to continue our growth.
Right.
And Donnie, I got an 11 o'clock stop for another opportunity, but I am so happy to have been on here with you guys this morning. I am always honored to share time with Donnie and Martha. You and I go way back. Again, congratulations on the new platform. And
thank you for your patience with me.
No, man, we both grown together, man. So I'm honored, and continued success, guys.
Thank you so much, Ron. God bless.
USBlackChambers.org, www.usblackchambers.org. We'll be doing a Black History Month event, February 24th. A good friend of mine, and I'm going to end with this, is Oakland. From our vice president to the new president of Ebony Jet Magazine, Oakland is on the map.
It's on the map.
We're going to continue to move things forward. Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you.
BuyBlack.org, BuyBlack.us, USBlackChambers.org.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow.
That was powerful. I like Ron Busby. He's really smart. 2, he's just straight up no chaser. And I like that about him. And he's a businessman. He ran a multi-million-dollar corporation. So, he understands the trials and the tribulations from the top. So, Donnie, you always hit a home run, brother.
Oh, no, it's a team effort. And I want to get into this Black USA for a moment.
Okay.
Today is the last day of the BmoreNews morning show, and we're transitioning to our national platform, blackusa.news. Marsha, you're the editor.
Yes.
Deadline is 3 p.m., by the way. I need that.
Boy.
Michael Eugene Johnson. Michael Johnson, we trying to get you on the show. I mean, how do we get Michael Johnson on here?
We'll just call him.
Well, he's over there in the chat room. He always doing that. You think he'll
come on, Michael, quit playing.
Yeah, stop playing Michael Johnson.
But if he doesn't want to, we're going to hang up. It's 10:56. We got 4 minutes. We can talk a little bit more about something else that's going on.
Nicole Orr said
$11 million.
Nicole Orr said that her company, A&C Pack and Ship, and special thank you to the advertisers that keep us going. We're currently working on partnering with several freight forwarders operating under AFC FTA. Very excited, great conversation. And presumably that has to do with African operations. Michael Johnson, hit that button, stop playing, man. He says he watches every day. I told you he was.
Well, you know what? If he's not going to come on, then let him be. He likes what he's doing. So you don't have to interrupt his business. Let him be there. So here's a question for you. There are a couple of things.
What to do. Seriously,
yeah, but you tell me what to do all the time. So what about this whole business about Comcast? What about what about the Comcast rate going up for the data use? What's that about?
I was talking with some one elected official and others about politics yesterday. And what came up in the conversation is a challenge that our Black elected officials have is having never run a business.
Okay. And that means?
They don't have a business mind.
But I'm talking about this company wants to raise the rates and our kids can't even do their homework. So what?
I understand. But you get what do you get? You get what you negotiate.
Yeah, okay. So, but can't that be revisited? Because
I would certainly think so if you're going to continue to make money here. Let me tell you something else that's missing. Since we're mentioning Comcast, have you ever heard of Baltimore Cable Access?
Isn't that the channel that they have for the city?
If you run a cable operation in Baltimore City or any municipality, there's supposed to be a certain percentage of resources that goes to public access. When's the last time you heard anything about public access in the city of Baltimore?
So does that include
That's the question. That's the question.
I haven't.
You haven't. But it's here.
But does that give you connectivity?
It's supposed to give you access. I'm supposed to be able to take this show and take it to a public access station in Baltimore City and get it on the air.
Well, they have that in New York.
They have it down the road in Anne Arundel County. They got it in Baltimore County. But you get to negotiate. See, accountability. You can have.
Who would you negotiate with?
Well, I would think it's the mayor and whoever, the solicitor and the the cable TV provider.
I know they have a big one in Brooklyn. It goes all over. It goes beyond Brooklyn.
And let me tell you why that's important. What is the #1 activity among young Black men?
Football.
No. I would say, well, okay. Along with that, rap. A lot of our young men love rap.
Okay.
So, and this is just me. I hear all of these stars, they throw it up in the strip club, they make it rain. I'm not talking about white people, stimulus packages, any of that. I'm talking about us. We make a video throwing up 20, 30, 40, 50,000 in the air. What's the place in Atlanta? Magic City. Make it rain.
What does that mean?
But you mean to tell me, out of all of y'all doings, and there's not one place in Baltimore City that a young Black rapper can go and record his music, get it in CD form, and go to market? I mean, I ain't the smartest guy in the world, but if all of the kids like rap music, then why isn't there a studio? And in that studio, see, you use that as the draw.
Maybe there is.
Well, if anybody out there knows, please let us know. But that's the draw. And from there, you can teach them business. You can create jobs. You can create products. And these young people can have something constructive to do with their time. And we can help get them ready for the next level, which is leaving Baltimore. We want our young men to go and see the country, and the world. I think a young man in Baltimore, 16 to 20, is in a red zone for being shot.
They're in that's automatic. What do you mean? Say
No,
that
it's not
again.
automatic. They're the number one. They are the number one demographic. See, I was thinking when you get a young black mayor, he would understand life and death, the urgency.
He does. Doesn't he? He does.
This is urgent, Marsha.
I think it's all urgent. And let me tell you, I just wanted to look this up because I want you to look this up and everybody to look it up. It's called BRIC, artsmedia.org. And it is a huge building in Brooklyn. And they have probably 4 or 5 studios, just what you're talking about. They have theater capability. They have art galleries. They have conference rooms.
So when I hear the 11 o'clock news, I'm cutting you off. When I hear the 11 o'clock news and I hear them talk about murder, East Baltimore, West Baltimore, every day, and I see the reporters, I see black male reporters. Oh, Johnny got killed in West Baltimore. Johnny got killed and it's the numbers, the distance, like, oh, that could never be my child. Certainly that couldn't be my child. It's a us and them type mentality. But if you know where the problems are and who the problems are with, I just thought there would be a sense of urgency to get them something to save their life. Not a bunch of this.
But they have now new cameras on by all of this.
$11 million. That's a priority. But our young black men are not a priority, even with a young black mayor. It should be a priority, a sense of urgency. I watched the young man 3 weeks ago. AOG, you remember me? I'm like, you the one that got shot? Yeah, 6 times? No, I got shot 7 times. I thought you were dead. He said, nope. 3 weeks later, guess where he is? He's dead. Right outside my door. There's no sense of urgency. I don't want to see 11 o'clock news. Somebody shot. Somebody got, yeah, they getting shot. Then where the damn resources? But you got these people, they're so prim and proper. African Americans, no, you's black. If you didn't know, Trump should have taught you something. But these people so busy playing games, I'm Senator so-and-so. Don't answer your damn phone. Marion Barry answered his phone till the last day. Answer your damn phone. But they get in there, oh, I'm so-and-so, I'm so. Like their crap don't stink. And meanwhile, our children are dying in the damn streets. I go over to Baltimore City Public School headquarters for the protest. I see white teachers everywhere. Now, I ain't saying there weren't some black teachers. I saw white teachers everywhere. What are we doing? What are we up to? And to the hustlers, to your big time drug dealers, give back to your damn community. How much do you take before you give back? We know you got the cars. We know you got this. You got the material, all of the accoutrements of success. Then what you going to do with all that dope money? You going to give any of it back to the people? You going to fix any of these vacant houses? Or you just going to stand on the corner, I'm a thug, I'm a thug. Get a life. BlackUSA.news will be on point. We're live and up. Marsha, don't be sad. It's hard to watch this chicanery, this foolishness. These people act like they know what they're doing, and they don't know. They have no clue. I don't see a crime playing.
You know, Maurice got shot and died. And he was out on the street. And I brought him down to the Frederick Douglass Museum to work with me. And he was walking down the street, headed to the grocery store for his grandmother, and they killed him. He had already spent most of his life in prison trying to handle these streets. And you think about Erica, and she's out blessing these grounds of all these children that are being murdered, men, women, children. It has to change.
It's not normal. What we're seeing in Baltimore is not normal. And so when the news comes on callously every day, oh, so-and-so got shot, so-and-so, yeah, we know they got shot. Then what you gonna do about it? Why are they getting shot in these neighborhoods? Because these neighborhoods have had no investment in our lifetime. 50, 60 years of nothing. And you simple reporters come on TV like, oh, they're just savages. They just kill each other because they don't know any. No, we're kings and queens, bank presidents, college presidents, institutional leaders. But the institutional racism in this city is historically insidious.
But you can't have that if you can't even get into education, if you can't even see yourself there.
And then they bring
We haven't made the investment. We have to make the investment. We have to make the investment. We have to make the investment in our people. And we haven't made, we've had all these Black mayors, and it's some total of that is in the cemeteries or in the jail.
I don't know how Black they were. Because like Bob DeShields often says on this show, Blacks can be white supremacists too. If you have a Black mayor that's more likely to give a contract to a white company than to a Black company, that's not a Black mayor. That's a Black white supremacist. Because they don't have enough belief in their people. Even when their people have shown they can do the job exceptionally, they still don't believe in Black business. They say they do. They take jobs like they do. They advocate like they do, but they don't really believe in Black business because at the end of the day, they spend their money outside of the community with others. Anthony Brown, when he ran for governor, he went and got a team from out of state. Ben Jealous, he get a bunch of people from out of state. You can't go get some people from out of state to run in Baltimore. Otis Rowley learned that when he ran for mayor. He went to get Bill Cosby. We love Bill Cosby, but Bill, don't call no shots politically in Baltimore. You need Baltimore.
Donnie, we have a long way to go. And your show, this show, our show is critical because, as you say, we uncover the truth.
Too many of us take a check. We take a check to turn our heads and turn a blind eye. Oh, we're doing this for the youth. Here's the youth fund. Ain't seen one damn youth helped. And let me tell you something else. You can't just go and help those people who are likely to succeed. You're supposed to be helping those least likely to succeed.
But you have to know that they're there and you have to care. Right? You have
Politicians talk a lot of SHIT, and at the end of the day, do not deliver. Right now, $11 million in contracts for these cameras, 45 cameras, and it went through without any question. Bill Henry, Nick Mosby, Brandon Scott approved. And their thing is, we need to make money. You're chasing people out of Baltimore. I thought you was going to do something different than the previous administrations. Nothing different.
So that's $244,000, almost $245,000 per camera.
I could make a company that makes cameras and that kind of money. Like the voting. Armstead Jones said they get their voting ballots from out of state. You really can't. You can't make no ballots.
Right, paper. You got time printer. You got black.
Really?
You got black.
See, if you never run a business,
press.
If you never run a business, you don't think business minded. You got an employee mentality. I love them sisters that say I'm a boss. Yeah. Sisters, one friend of mine, she called herself Boss Lady, J Boss Lady, boss. I like that. We need. My daughter's an entrepreneur, Pisces like you, and my damn nerves. Entrepreneur
and
from the gut.
For real.
Since she was 16, she got her own.
So
We need a business mentality, and we need political leaders that have a business mentality. Joan Carter Conway got a business mentality. She runs a business. I can trust her to make intelligent decisions. I can't trust you to make a decision you've never made before.
But maybe they need just having alliances with Black businesses. And I think that that's part of the transition team.
Black Chamber, I wonder.
So who's the president of the Black Chamber?
Deborah Keller. She's the chairwoman.
Okay. So that's a question. We'll bring them back on. And
we got too many Blacks in position who ain't doing SHIT for their people. They look cute. They got their little car outside. But at the end of the day, North and Greenmount, North and Bentlow look the same. We ain't controlling what we should. Beggars sitting on bags of gold. But I sound all sad and depressed, man. But that's Baltimore.
But, well, you know what? It's all going to change. We've got new administration. We're going to give them a chance. And we're going to support them. And we're going to tell them what we feel and what we think. And give them ideas of what they could do. I think the priority really needs to be how you get all of these young people connected to the internet with devices to be able to handle their work. They're already behind. We need to make sure that
they've lost the whole year. Let's be honest, they've lost the year.
We're clear, but now going forward, we have a new administration. So we have high expectation, Brandon Scott, that all these children are going to be taken care of, and you're going to put Comcast in check. And know that the last conversation I had with Comcast, they said, well, yeah, we can go and do this over in that neighborhood. I wanted them to do something. And he said, oh, yeah, great. Then we can go over there and we can get them that $9.99 program. I said, those people are looking at $9.99 to feed a family of 6. So you can't talk about no doggone internet. And he said,
you remember Rapper's Delight?
He said, what do you mean they feed that many people on $9.99? I said, you need to spend more time out in the street and learning about this community than sitting up in your tower, because you don't have a clue about reality, not only in Baltimore, but across this nation. So we have to be vigilant about what we do. And when we talk about all of that pipe and the access, all that channel, we should be able to, and I have posted this, I've sent it to people. There's a program I want you to look up, Donnie, and I want us to talk about it. I'm going to bring them on, the Intelligent Community Forum. And they travel the world. They're out of New York. And I've worked with them when I was up at Columbia doing community technology development. They find the cities that do the best, the whatever it's called, you know, the STAR programs throughout the world, where they're deploying high-speed networks and Wi-Fi and community Wi-Fi to the citizens of these different countries. And they give them an award every year. So you already know, you have samples of what people do, how
Marcia,
they do
you know
it.
the solutions. There is a stinginess here in the white supremacists. There's a stinginess here that's so suicidal. If you don't bless the Black community, you will not be blessed.
Okay, so we're going to bring them on to talk about this next week.
See, they keep wanting to prosper and be stingy with the blessings God gave them. And they think they're going to get blessed. You won't get blessed. You're cursed. Until America straightens out and addresses its original sin, it is cursed.
So we're going to ask everybody to have a wonderful weekend. We want them to pray for our city, for ourselves, our families, that we get through all of this.
No.
And we're going to come up. That you didn't like. Did you say time out?
I got something more your speed. I got something more your speed.
Okay, what?
Ready?
I'm ready.
The Bible says when a baby is born, you're supposed to cry. And when somebody goes home, we're supposed to celebrate. So we can't end off this day and not celebrate a woman who gave us 96 years of character
The
dignity,
queen.
class. She was married to Miles Davis. That picture always blows me away when I see Queen Cicely Tyson and Miles Davis in a picture. And it was like, wow, two geniuses in the same space. A queen of a woman, classy. And yes, I love Jane Pittman. And yes, I love the scene where she's spitting that cup. Yes, I did. I felt the pain.
That's right. And it was real. 90-something years old. 96, was it?
All right, say a prayer for her so we can go home and
No,
bless
you
her.
go ahead. You go ahead, because you said I take too long. Go ahead.
No, I'm feeling Baptist today.
You don't want me to you don't want me to do the Protestant prayer.
Presbyterian. Oh,
Father God, in the name of Jesus, we want to thank you. Thank you for this show. Thank you for Donnie. Thank you for our audience. We just want you to cover this world, Lord. Cover our communities, cover our cities, our states, our nation. Lord, we need your help. We need intervention. And we are calling on you on a regular basis. My knees, well, I'm not weary, Lord, because none of us are weary, but we know that we need whatever other God y'all serve, you need to pray. And thank you. Thank you, Donnie, for this forum.
amen.
All right. Amen.
Up
All right.
today, down tomorrow. Oh, we be back Monday with blackusa.news. So that means I can, got to get me a new backdrop. Nicole, we coming to see you. I'm going to send you the graphic. Andy Havas. Marsha, please say hello to Andy. Andy is a lady over in Hungary. She bought my book. She shares quotes from the book on her page. Say hi to Andy.
Hi, Andy. How are you? And thank you for your support. I appreciate you watching. Take care, and we'll see you on Monday.
Good deal. Up to date, down tomorrow. Plug your, don't you do a commercial, Marsha? Don't people hire you?
Oh, yes, I do consulting for diversity, equity, and inclusion. We conferences, and we do interviews for any of your events, and we can help you set up virtual experiences. Marsha Jews at Gmail. What?
One of the most important things, I just got to say this. One of the most important things Ron said was our Black elected officials have to understand that minority cripples us. When they say minority business, it's a 50 fake out. Say Black business. Be intentional. It's a Black city, Black elected officials, Black business. Not no damn minority. We get lost in the sauce with that. It's like cream. Everything gets colored.
I thought you just said goodbye. Didn't you just say goodbye? I thought you just said goodbye. Now we starting all over again. We rewind.
Up to date.
You am somebody.
What'd you say, Pharaoh? Pharaoh said, "Come the hell on." Up to date, down tomorrow.
Hi, Pharaoh.
He's yawning. Up to date, down tomorrow. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Bye.